Hello and welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. You are watching Daily Dive. It is Monday, February 17th, 2025. I am your host, Michael Carbelis in Guyton, Georgia. We are live on 12 Ounce Sports via YouTube, Roku, and Fire TV. Subscribe to the 12 Ounce Sports channel on YouTube for other great shows and live sports. On today's awesome show, game recaps from a wild 8-game slate in week number 12 of the National Lacrosse League. We'll invite in guest John Fraser, the Saskatchewan Rush color guy who always does the games with Cody Jansen. Cannot wait to talk to him about a 2-0 weekend and a great season so far for the Rush. And of course, stay tuned for 3 stars of the weekend, the best winning performances from week 12. Without further ado, we want to first let you know this show is presented by tickets.12ouncesports.com. That's tickets.numbers12 letters ozsports.com. Get your NLL tickets for less by going to that website, which includes every sport, including the PLL. And, of course, all your favorite music artist concerts. Not to mention way more. Tickets.12ouncesports.com. Alrighty, now let's get into our game recaps for week number 12. And again, like I said, there's 8 games. I'm going to try to kind of skim through them. We'll see how things go here, though. So the first game, of course, that went down is the Buffalo Bandits beating the Toronto Rock 13-12. My favorite thing about this game was, of course, the tweet that I had that got 585 likes on Twitter. I know the Buffalo Bandits replying to it helped, but I posted a picture of the Buffalo Bandits down 5-0 at the end of the first quarter in Mississauga on TSN. And my caption was something along the lines of, boy, if the Rock lose this game, it's going to be crazy. I was mocking the fact that every time I watch a Rock Bandits game, something in my mouth. Every time I watch a Rock Bandits game, it feels like these teams are, I don't know why the Bandits always spot them some goals early. It's like the last game they played, they were down the fourth quarter. This game they played, they're down 5-0. So I was kind of like mocking it. There are the Buffalo fans who refuse to acknowledge anything I do is good. So, of course, they were trying to old takes expose me. That's not happening. But it was impressive the way the Bandits walked them back down. I don't know how they keep doing it. I don't know who to blame. But it's impressive the way Dane Smith and Josh Byrne can settle these guys down. The defense can still take over. And at that point, the Buffalo Bandits, including the playoffs, were 17-1 with Paul Dawson. That's impressive. That's very impressive. And they still had not lost since March of 2024. We'll get to the other games, of course, a little bit more in game recaps. But also, in the end of this game, there was a scuffle at the end when Paul Dawson kind of checked the neck of, I believe it was Dan Craigie checked the neck of. It was, a lot of embellishing going on, but I'll say that. I'm sure it doesn't feel good, but you get it. And then, of course, I believe the assistant coach of the Rock grabbed the neck of Steve Dietrich, the GM of the Bandits. So, the league this season so far has had Tyson Bell incidents. That's self-explanatory. Elijah Gash knocking out Zach Belter. It's not a bad look. Then they got an assistant coach grabbing the neck of a GM. It's impressive what's going on this year. I don't think it hurts the league, but it definitely doesn't make it look fantastic right now. I wish those guys would have stayed a little bit more in check, but that's that. 13-12 Bandits. The Rush walked into Calgary and Cowtown and beat up on the Roughnecks 16-13. It was back and forth, but Saskatchewan really controlled this game, I felt like. Frank Giuliano's first game back looked good. Again, like 13 goals, I get it. But, Calgary, I figured was going to put up points. I thought Calgary would win. That's my fault. I was not expecting the Rush to control that game the way they did. But somehow, for me, I just keep on doubting the Rush team. They keep on being awesome. and they beat the Roughnecks in front of a really good building. Both those teams won the first of a back-to-back. Warriors beat the Dogs 12-8, LOL. Next game. Thunderbirds on Saturday beat the Wings to sweep the Philadelphia Wings 13-10. Not happy right now with the Wings defense. Offense got shut down by the Thunderbirds to the tune of 10 goals. Brandon O'Neill did not do his best Brandon O'Neill impression of the weekend. And the Thunderbirds have been very impressive, and they might be skyrocketing up my power ratings for what it's worth very soon. Ottawa Blackbears, Jeff Teat, someone on Twitter mentioned it. I wish I ever remember their username. They basically said, hey, Jeff Teat woke up, remembered he's a top 5 player in the NLL. I agree. 6 goals and 3 assists was all he needed as the Black Bears stomped the living daylights out of the Albany Firewolves, and Albany's now 2-8, and they are last place team in the standings, which I feel like I've harped on them a bunch, but my Lord, that is rough. The Black Bears controlled that game. Doug Davison's playing musical goalie chairs with Andrew Kidd at this point. San Diego Seals, shout out to Joe Tsai, who has been much more active on Twitter about lacrosse ever since I kind of called him out. And he said it was the prettiest assist to goal in San Diego Seals franchise history. It was the one where Trey LeClaire found Wesley Berg for the overtime winner. Now, granted, the Seals led this game 4-0 and even 5-1. Bandits led the game late with, I believe, 15 seconds left. The Seals scored. And through 6 minutes of overtime, Matt Vince was slamming the door shut. For some reason, every Bandits player did not move the ball in overtime, wanted to play hero ball. Not sure what happened. Wesley Berg, you were the hero. Rochester got smacked around by Saskatchewan, a game we're going to get to with John Fraser. 17-9. The Rusher. They're good. And, of course, the Roughnecks. In a game that was, if you watched it on Sunday evening, yesterday evening, got kind of ugly late. I don't think the Burke guy should have been ejected for boarding Anasio. I feel like that was an accumulation of events that happened, and I didn't feel like Burke deserved that. When the dude got decked in the face and was bleeding, it was like, I didn't mean to do it like that. Like I said, it was a physical game. It had been gross to that point. I didn't feel it was a bad ejection, in my opinion. But there was a lot of things going on in the late version of that game. And I guess if you're the Dogs, every game you get your what's kicked, you kind of start fights. I wish the refs would let people fight. I don't get why they pick and choose sometimes. But I feel like David Brock, and I forget who else wanted to go, but nah. Okay, cool, whatever. Thankfully, we had 5 of them after that, so it was all good. And shout out to the Bears in the stands. I wish I knew who those people were. I want them on the show. The Calgary Roughnecks fans. It was like pajama night or whatever. That was a lot, but you already watched it. I just thought I'd review that, give some of my takes. And now it's time to stop keeping this guy waiting. When we come back, we're going to talk to Saskatchewan Rush's color analyst, John Fraser, about all things green. They're good. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
America, get back on track with Dust Pod's Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water, Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Very excited to welcome in John Fraser, Saskatchewan Rush color and Greencast co-host, but I'll get to that at the end of the interview. How are you, sir?
I'm great this morning. I mean, how could I not be? I mean, it's only minus 40 Celsius in Saskatchewan right now. Thankfully, the Rush went 2-0 because I can tell you the weather's not great here.
What is that? Do you know what that translates to English-speaking people?
It's funny. It's actually, as it gets really cold, they kind of cancel out. So I think
Well, that's fair.
it might be 50 Fahrenheit or something. I'd Google it right now, but we're here to talk lacrosse. We're okay. Good. I don't want to talk about the cold, Mike.
That is a good point. The team is hot, and so are we. We're ready to go. I want to first get into, because I've never had you on the show, I don't think.
No, first time.
How dare me, by the way. Your lacrosse, right, your lacrosse background, because I'm going to mention, I guess I'll just do this now because I think you know lacrosse, first of all, did you play? How about that?
No, I actually didn't. I didn't play.
Okay.
I was one of those lucky guys that grew up a fan. I remember growing up here in Canada, there was a time when I think I was like 10 or 12 where every Rock game was on TV. And I've been hooked since then. Like, it was on one of the major sports networks up here. And since then, it's been absolutely fantastic. So I was working in sports broadcasting when the news the Rush were coming here broke.
Oh.
And I was one of the guys to break the story. And
Hey,
I think my next call was to Casey Guerin, who was the coach of the junior B SWAT at the time. And Casey and I basically said, okay, we're applying for the broadcaster jobs and we're vouching for each other. Like, that was the plan. It was like, had the interview with Doug Fritz, who worked at the NLL at the time. We both interviewed with Fritzy, and it was like, yeah, you should hire Casey. And he said, yeah, you should hire John. And the rest, they say, is history. So
how did Cody Jensen sneak in between y'all? That's crazy.
well, what happened was actually after Casey's passing around the same time, I had gone out of broadcasting full time and gotten a real job at a car dealership, and that's where I still am today.
That's where I got that picture to show you.
That's exactly the one with my gut bursting out because they shot it at Thanks marketing
Love
guy
it.
Justin Hunt, just like doing me dirty on my first day at work. So I stepped away. Didn't feel right being in the booth without Casey, so I stepped away for a bit. And then had an opportunity to come. Actually, I was on a podcast very similar to this one. I was on a local sports podcast, and Tyler Warwick from the Saskatchewan Entertainment Group reached out. He's like, hey, why aren't you broadcasting games? And I'm like, well, I just kind of stopped. And he's like, do you want to come back? And I said, yes, I do. There was more colorful language that I had to censor out there, but no. So I've been back ever since.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! And now they can't get rid of me, right? So I was there from 16 to 19. So basically, outside of one season, post like the COVID shortened season, and 1 year before that, I've been on the broadcast every year for the Rush.
Best dad ever. Great mug. So the reason I mentioned the lacrosse background is because I haven't played either. I feel like I've got some good takes. And I want to give a take for the people here. April 21st, 2024. You may not remember posting this, but it's on your Instagram, one of your latest posts.
Yeah.
You said, it still stings not making the playoffs, talking about the Rush, but my goodness, we are on the verge of a second golden era. The young talent is higher than on the other roster. All the core pieces will be back. It sounds like you kind of called it, man.
I feel like I did, and that was actually funny. That was before the dispersal draft. Like, the dispersal draft couldn't have worked out any better for us. Like, I'm already banging the drum. Matt Hossack's Defensive Player of the Year. Like, if you argue with me on that, you're wrong. Like, I'm normally open to other opinions, but if you say anybody but Matt Hossack's Defensive Player of the Year, you're wrong. I'll tell you that for free right now. So getting Haas back was huge. And then the Austin Shanks signing, which having a guy like this was funny. This was before my Instagram post. After my Instagram post, I found out very quietly that Austin Shanks wanted to be here. And then we got Matt Hossack. Ooh. So I don't know if it was clairvoyance or just a couple lucky breaks, because I've said publicly, and I've said on a broadcast, that I don't think anybody's had a better offseason than us. Like, everybody got a year older. Boudreaux got a year older.
Oh, he's
so good. Zach Mann's got a year older. Adam J got a year older. He's been like, the thing that blows me away too is I remember in this market when the Mark Matthews trade happened, there was lots of people. Is there a more one-sided trade in NLL history, Mike? Is there? I don't think you can find. I don't think you can find one. Seriously, we got Mann.
Well, thankfully, Del Bianco has been traded, guys, and that's a good thing for now.
Right, but I mean,
we'll take that.
I mean, but Delbs, I think, is going to go for. I mean, Delbs is going to go for a haul, as he should. It's a shame that that's funny. free Delbs. I mean, I love watching that guy play, but for us, I mean, we got Mans. We got Adam J, and we got the first-round pick that became Levi Anderson.
And Levi isn't too bad either.
No,
he's like your second-best rookie right now. It's not a bad deal.
Yeah, I know. Actually, and I mean this with no disrespect to Levi, I've got him as our third-best rookie.
Well, I was just throwing out that. I know he wasn't the first. I mean, Naso's up there, too, but Naso's
Brock Haley, Jake Naso, who, by the way, I can break this. I've been given permission to break this in your program. He's back Friday.
Finally!
The face-off man has returned to the Rush lineup.
I need him so badly. You have no idea.
Well, I love that, man.
So let's get into we had Cody Jensen on. This guy named Thomas Kaiser existed.
Yeah.
He was born and all of a sudden grew up and became a Rush goalie. I got to ask you, first of all, can you explain again, if you're allowed to, because Cody Jensen went on the Rush social media team and said, hey, you know, because of a weird NLL rule, what is the rule that why Rush couldn't be signed that day? And Kaiser said, screw it, I'll do it.
So the rule is you can't sign a player on game day. Okay. And as we all know now, the situation with Frank was Frank's wife was in labor. And there was a possibility that Frank was going to fly up and run the bench for the game. Basically, it was if his wife would have given birth, baby was healthy, Frank would have been on a plane. I don't think he would have started because of the panic, but with his wife's permission, like, kudos to Mrs. Shiliano, because
God, Lord.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I had a baby. Yeah. Go play professional lacrosse. So, so we had to wait until that morning. And that's when we tried to put in the paperwork to sign Lane, who's right here in Saskatchewan. And the league said no. And obviously everybody tried to phone and say, hey, like, here's the situation. Like, Frank's wife is in labor. This isn't
fair.
Exactly. And so Keegan Bell, who's now got a goal.
He was the guy who said, screw it, I'll play goalie.
He was actually, this was great. He was pulled aside before morning shoot around by Derek Keenan. And because he was going to be the healthy that night, right? He'd been the healthy all year. He'd been the healthy scratch all year. So he gets pulled aside by Derek Keenan. And he goes, well, you're going in as the backup goalie. And Bell's like, come on, you're funny. Ha ha ha. He's like, no,
you're joshing, bro.
That's right. You are the backup goalie. We got some gear for you. Go on in. Like, honestly, I get why the league has that rule, because there's a lot of really good lacrosse players.
What if Brody Merrill just decides to show up for the Seals one day?
Well, that's exactly it, right? Like, you've got so many guys, especially with the PLL, that you could just, we're a guy down. Let's go sign a PLL all-star for a game, right? So I understand the rule. I also understand there should be exceptions, like something like this that, you know, and if you want to punish guys for not carrying a third goal in the practice roster, so be it. I mean, but it was a weird situation, but it worked out. Like, it really did. And
It's funny because the first game he allowed 13. I came on this show saying I think the rush offense helped him, but the next game, that was amazing.
Oh,
And
certainly.
he shut down the Seals. And I just asked Matt Vince how the Seals play offense. He might like a word or two about that one.
Yeah, they're pretty good. And the thing with Kaisick is I think if you take away that first quarter, he only gave up 8 that game, right?
Oh, that's true.
There
was like a 4-0.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was like you felt for the kid because again, I'm
impressive.
That's it. Like I've been a goaltender most of my.
Oh. Now you're back.
Oh, there we go.
I think the snow loves
It's that Canadian. It's like that's right. It's the Canadian internet. I felt bad for him because like I've been a hockey goalie for a good chunk of my life, and you've had those games. It's that nightmare start. You know you're good enough, but and the thing is too with this team, talking to the boys post game, they're like, we knew Tommy was going to have a slow start. That's just what happens in a rookie in his first start. So we knew we were going to have to score. And they went out and did it, right? And the boys knew that, and the boys rallied behind him. But I think he is by far the best goaltending prospect in lacrosse right now. Like you watch him play, and you see him in practice, and the nice thing is having a guy like that if Frank needs a game or two down the stretch, you can fully trust in your backup, right? Like if Frank needs to be on dad duty for a weekend, so be it. You got, to me, the best goaltending prospect in lacrosse. Like, because you're right, that what he did to the Seals was just impressive as hell, and to bounce back from the rough start too. Like now again, we were given the benefit, maybe an assist from the officials with about a 12-minute stoppage for a review, but it worked out.
Yeah, they do that a good bit, even though I love the officials sometimes. But I made a tweet that a few players actually liked. That was like, hey, after looking at this for 5 minutes, the call stands. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And it's funny, I think, and maybe this is just because there was a handful of games this weekend, that it seemed like in all the games I watched, it's almost like that rung true that guys were like, hey, there's not conclusive evidence. The call stands, right? Like, I mean, Todd LeBranch said that in both the game in Calgary on Friday and then, of course, during our game. It was like every review, they came out, and I don't know if they were mandated from the league or what happened, but it seemed like reviews were quicker this weekend. And the explanation was given, hey, we just don't have a conclusive evidence. Good goal, no goal, let's go, let's play.
The Calgary crew was hysterical to me watching that yesterday. Like, good goal. Like, okay, jeez. Nice to meet you, sir.
I love the boys in Calgary. Like they've been around since my first round, and they get it. Like they're fun. I love those boys.
All right, so let's talk about this past weekend. Obviously, this was if you guys played, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day. I think you got to watch this game. I don't know if you were in Calgary.
No, I was at home. It was funny. I goofed. I misread my own schedule at my day job. I was actually off that day, so I could have found a way to Calgary, but I goofed. So I was at home. I was watching with the kids. It was a good night. So I watched the whole game.
Yeah, so Chiliano came back, and obviously the Rush offense was really amazing in that game, which McLeod had come off of 2 back-to-back good games, in my opinion. Like, he had answered the bell and then didn't answer the bell, so I thought that was impressive, the Rush, too. What did you see from watching that game?
I saw a motivated team. I saw a team that's really got their sea legs under them, right? Like the veterans kind of had a slow start this year, which is uncharacteristic, right? Like Bobby was hurt, right? So that kind of led to his slower start. Shanks he started hot. He'd gone a little quiet. He'll be the first to admit he wasn't the level he wanted to be. And Keenan went from 5 points in the first 4 games to now second in team scoring. Mm-hmm. Like Ryan Keenan had a slow start. So now you've got those 3 guys that are able to lead the way. All 3 had 7 points that night, right? I thought the defense, like I don't think any of those 13, if you watch back, Mike, I think I counted like 3 goals that Chiliano was beat from more than 2 feet inside the crease. Wow. Calgary just did a real good job of using the speed, getting to the crease, lots of dip, dive, duck, and dodge goals, lots of through the air, lots of in tight, right? Like the stuff you can't blame Chiliano for. But to me, that was the game that Austin Shanks got his mojo back. Like that snipe over the shoulder. Like,
I saw the social media. That was beautiful.
Oh, just, and it was like, okay, like as soon as he buried that, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. If Shanks is feeling it too, along with all these other guys, right? Like Brock Haley's feeling it. Levi Anderson was good. Like,
Wow.
The thing is with this,
we have Robert Church too. Yeah.
oh yeah. Hey, by the way, and the thing that I think was really impressive was the depth on that team. Like a lot of guys stepped up on that Friday night. Andrew's out. He's out. He's on IR. We're without Jake Naso. He's on IR. So all jokes aside about Keenan Bell, the backup goalie, he gets into his first game, doesn't look out of place at all. Right? Like
that was wild.
He had a good game. All these guys had a good game. Messenger stepped up at the dot. You know, Hasek stood in there for a couple draws. Like, and this is a team that knew that they were about to pack onto a bus for a 7-hour overnight drive across the prairies. That's how they did it.
I wonder how long that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 7 hours, right? From Saddle Dome back to SaskTel Center. But again, the joys of the NLL, your only other option is to try, you bus back after the game, you go get a bite, you have a pop. You know, you're getting up first thing in the morning to go to the Calgary airport, which is nowhere near downtown Calgary. Like, talking to a lot of the guys post, and again, maybe you have a different answer if they don't absolutely beat the brakes off of Rochester on Saturday night. But most of the guys said, yeah, I like the bus ride, right? They got on the bus, they had their food. There's a couple card games going on apparently, and they got back to Saskatoon 7 in the morning, but had the whole day to rest, right? Like, they had the whole day to get their bodies right, had the whole day to get their minds right, and it worked.
That's amazing. So, yeah, like Rochester, and I've called them sneaky. To be fair, they've been sneaky since they, I guess, took this new Rochester theme
100%.
in that ugly uniform color. But it's amazing what the Rush did to them. Like, because Cody came on the show and was like, we don't want the back-breaking goals allowed. Like, as long as Chiliano can make the 39-41 saves, we're good. And lo and behold, 9 goals for the Rochester Nighthawks, no big deal.
16 saves in the second quarter for Frank. Like, that was like, you could tell the boys were getting, because you're right, Rochester sneaky. Like Connor Fields, Ryan Smith, Lanchbury Knight, like every single one of those guys can rip it. Like Hogg's out there, he's a rookie. Like every one of those guys can score. They're one of those teams that you're like, okay, who do you stop? And they've got the ability to score inside and outside, right? Like Ryan Smith, 6'2", probably their best shooter out there mucking it up in the middle, right? So they're a tough team to defend. And on top of that, thank you, schedule makers. They had 14 days off while we were on a bus from Calgary the night before. I got a little spicy about that post game, but right. But again, that to me might be. That's the game that basically says the Rush are here, the Rush are a wagon, the Rush are very good, right? Both teams, I mean, in that game, both teams were a little slow to start. Again, Roch hadn't played in 2 weeks. We were working off the legs from last night, but I can tell you the guy that bailed us out there was Frank Chiliano, right? Like the lactic acid wasn't quite out that second quarter. If you go back and watch the second quarter on Plus, like Rochester was trying to run us out the building, and Frank was. That's probably the best quarter of lacrosse I've ever seen Frank Chiliano play. And I mean that with no disrespect, because Frank Chiliano is a very, very, very good goaltender and equally as great human being, right? So to see the guys, after a tough night, after a night on a bus, to ball out again and basically announce we're here. Like it was awesome. This team is back. Get your bums in the seats. Like, and it's funny, and I laughed after the game. Obviously, we're the first 8 wins. I know Cody was careful on the broadcast, but it's like, you ever see the line in Inglourious Bastards, Mike? That I've been chewed out for this before. I won't be fired, but I'll get chewed out. But I've been chewed out before. I know Cody was being careful walking the line. I'm like, we're in first place. NLL stats. That's right. NLL stats was out about 5 minutes later going, no, you're not actually in first. But hey, if you have the most wins of the league, I will die on the hill. We're in first right now.
Yeah, and unless Matt Vince can pull a Thomas Kaiser against San Diego, that could be interesting.
Right? No, 100%. Like, and that's San Diego. And it was funny. There was we were on the broadcast, and because we were kind of in garbage time, because that's as a broadcaster,
side-eyeing the other games.
Well, that's it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. When your team's up a zillion in the fourth quarter, you want to give content that's interesting for the audience, right? And very interesting is the fact that San Diego beat Buffalo. So we made sure to mention that. We would have mentioned the Canada-US game, but again, TSN
had a little slight delay,
I had to delay on that one, with the whole, you guys winning. So, but we'll ignore that.
Yeah, a lot of politics in that one too. That's crazy.
I know, a few scraps off the hop, but no, it was great, and it's funny, this team's vibe reminds me of 16, 17, 18. And the reason I say that, and you're gonna laugh, but it's a little moment that after the game, we're sitting there. After post game, we all hang around in the bowels of SaskTel Center and just hang out with the ticket staff and the game day staff, and usually have a pop or two. But the team photographer, Steve Hiscock, who best in the league, die on that hill. Steve comes in, he's like, "I got a shot of the guys like mugging for the camera," and he's like, "I've never had anybody from the Rush do that." And it came out on social media, and then it also got it's Keenan, Churchy, Shanks, and Mans, and it was Laxmag put them into Kiss, but those guys mugging for the camera, that's not something that normally happens. And I'm like, "Hey, that's the vibe this squad has." And everybody asks, "What's the difference?" It's vibes. It's 100% vibes, and you have the leaders leading the way. We've got 5 rookies in the lineup, and we're 8-2.
That's amazing.
It all goes back to, as I do the weave here, as I go back to your point on my Instagram post, it's the second golden era, man. Like, this is not a team just built to be good this year. This is not just, Mike Priester and ownership going, we're going to buy everybody. This is fundamentally built a Derek Keenan team that is going to be a wagon for years. To, like, if I'm a GM and Derek Keenan phones me for a trade, I'm not picking up anymore because he always wins them.
Yeah, I remember that post he had months ago, over a year ago now. It's like, "Trust me one more time."
Yes.
I think he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think they made the right decision in letting him and Jimmy run it back because these guys know what they're doing. And
the fans, low-key starting to show back up, and I think that's going to come with time. Plus, it's a great atmosphere anyways.
Well, 100%. And it's funny, and I've been a defender of this publicly a little bit. You don't see it on the broadcast, but right across from where Cody and I broadcast these games from, that's where the cheap seats are. That's where your $15, $20 tickets are. And it's right across us. It's on the upper deck, and there's a pile of people up there. So you don't see it on the broadcast.
New fans.
100%. Like, let's face it, if you're curious, you're not going to spend. And again, ticket prices are, I wish I could walk around with a neon billboard on my truck saying ticket prices are back to being affordable, right? Like, your lower bowl's $30, right? But your new fans are coming in for $15, right? We got a deal with one of the local gas stations here, the Co-op. Literally, right? As you buy your gas, you buy your Gatorade, you buy your Red Bull, there's a QR code. Buy $15 tickets, right? So the $15 tickets, you start with a $15 ticket, you enjoy it, you have a good time, then you're spending $30, then you're back in the lower bowl, right? Like, that's kind of how these things go. And it doesn't show on the broadcast. Like, this isn't, this isn't like some of the struggles that Georgia had early on. I love seeing fans in Georgia now too. For the record, that's a sneaky good barn. Where, there was nobody there. There's people there. There's people at these games and making all the noise. It's just, you just don't see it on the camera, right? And I'm a little busy breaking down the game to take a, like, hey, everybody, look, there's fans in the stands photo. But that's right. I should do it one of these times. I mean, Cody makes me shut up for about 3 seconds after his goal calls, so I'll just do it during one of those.
I don't know if you saw my impression of him over the weekend.
No, I didn't. Okay, you got to bust it out.
Oh, okay. I was doing the Mitch Jones on the show right here. I was like, Keegan Bell breaks free, Bellinger and Chess, Saskatchewan. But then immediately after that, he did the Shiliano call crime stopper. I was like, okay, that was a good one.
I love his calls, man. Like, working with Janner, like, I don't think I've ever worked with a guy that is able to both be insanely creative and distinct like that, and yet still be the most prepared guy in the building. Like, I've worked with guys that are able to do the funny shtick. I mean, hell, I'm one of those guys, right? Like, you're able to bust out the line and kind of make your broadcast partner crack. But the fact is, Cody knows more about the game than any one of us. He knows the league. He knows where these guys played college. And at the same note, he just busts out these iconic calls. It really is. Like, it's wild. Like, we'll be having our production meetings with TSN, and they're asking, like, and again, the TSN crew is awesome. And our producer's like, So, hey, Cody, did any of these guys play college lacrosse together? And boom, off the top of his head.
That's
Every single
crazy.
time. It's unbelievable. He even knew about the fantasy league a bunch of these guys were in from Duke. Like, it's just like he's known for those great like the call Crime Stoppers. When a guy scores from distance, he scores from name a random Saskatchewan town. And my favorite is down the stretch we go every time. Like, there's a fist bump in the booth every time with those. So I cannot.
I like those with the from watching him instead of watching the game. I love. It's just amazing to see those things. I have to ask you one more thing here, if you have time.
100%.
At Vancouver.
Yes.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
How are we feeling?
Feeling good. The only thing that worries me a bit is Vancouver is a good team, but it's got trap game feel to it. Right?
Okay.
We're all talking about March 1st. Everybody in like we were all talking post game about Buffalo top shelf where grandma keeps the good stuff. That's the other one I love. We're all talking about March 1st when Buffalo's here. Right? It's like instantly we're all talking March 1st, March 1st, March 1st. Right. And I get it, like as us on the team staff, the ticketing staff, you know, us that are at home, we're all looking March 1st. I know the boys aren't. The boys are looking Friday night in Vancouver, but that's going to be your third game in a week. You've got this, you're now in first.
I'm feeling good, you know?
You're feeling good. And you've got this big matchup against Buffalo waiting for you the following Saturday, March the 1st. So I'm worried that it could be a bit of a trap game. I don't think you're going to see that out of the veterans. Like that's not going to be Keenan, Shanks, Shiliano. It's not going to be the veteran guys, Haas, Messenger, by the way, great season too. But again, we play a lot of rookies, right? We're going to have rookies in that game that are maybe looking by. So I'm hoping they can do what they usually do when they go to Vancouver. Again, a lot of our guys, like actually we've got 7 guys living in Sasky this year, and the rest of them are from the Vancouver area. So it's not like it's a big travel thing. Vancouver is a fairly easy city to get to from Sasky.
Family?
Yeah, exactly. You got some family you want to perform well in front of. So are we a better team than Vancouver? Yeah, I think so. I mean, the records would indicate as much. The roster would indicate as much. It's just you want to bring that effort you had against Calgary, that effort you had against Roch, because if not, the league is too close. Vancouver's going to burn you. You can't be looking ahead to March 1st. I'm feeling great, but I think that the start of this game is going to dictate. You know, Buffalo's still going to be a big one. We're still going to be at 8 wins when we see Buffalo, but I just hope the guys don't look past Vancouver and look to the battle with the Bandits.
And it's one of those scenarios where, like, maybe Vancouver beating you might be a good thing.
Well, and that's it. But I think, you know, we've already had that moment in terms of when we lost to Toronto.
Yeah.
Right? Like we already, and even talking to Zach Bands after the game, he kind of said, yeah, that Toronto game was motivation, right? Toronto hadn't won until they beat us, right? And Vancouver's sitting at eighth playoff spot, and they're fighting for their lives at 5-5. So you got to match that intensity that you know the Warriors are going to bring. They're on the way up. I would say they're not a team on the way down anymore. I think Kurt Malosky has built what he wants there. Minus getting Christian Del Bianco, of course, because we all know that's eventually coming. Like, well, I mean, free Delbs, come on, get him over there, Kurt, figure it out. But I think it's going to be a battle. I'm feeling good. Naso being back is going to be huge, right? Like, Vancouver doesn't have a Nardella. They don't have a Jake Withers, you know. So you got to think you're going to be getting a lot of extra possessions with Naso back. He's healthy. He's feeling good. So I feel good about the Vancouver win, but I get some trap game vibes in the back of my head.
They have a stat to kiss, I think, but we're going to leave that one alone.
Of course, we are. Yeah.
Thank you so much, John. First time person on the show. Oh, how is your... Tell me about the Greencast real quick, and then I'll let you go.
The Greencast, yes, my football podcast for anybody that is into CFL football. It's, if you can't tell, it's not exactly super strict football breakdowns. We talk the Riders primarily, we talk CFL, but we also talk a lot about terrible Subway lettuce and beers. I mean, we've
Good
got
point.
we've
Like,
got
the pop you talked about.
Oh yeah, no, well, yes, I could say beers on the Greencast. I mean, a beer's right in our logo, and we have 2 alcohol sponsors on the show. So,
Oh, good.
oh yeah, let's go. A couple local joints here. Pile of Bones and Lucky Bastard sponsor the Greencast. So,
Get paid, John.
I know there's a lot of people that are into Canadian football down there that are watching right now. Greencast, we don't have a team account because again, we don't have a show account because we don't have time. We're both dads,
Right.
but you can find us right on 3downnation.com.
Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your season. We'll have you on before the season ends, of course. Sure.
1,000,000%. Hey, I get rotating days off. I'm just going to send you my work schedule and we'll figure it out from there.
Love it.
Love it, Mike.
Fraser.
Thanks so much,
Go,
buddy.
Rush, go.
Go, Rush. Let's go. We're a wagon.
They are a green machine wagon. We appreciate John Fraser. I thought that would be fun, and it was. Shout out Greencast, and of course, shout out to the Rush broadcast crew and all they do. And shout out to the Rush as well. Follow him at FRASERPXP. That's John Fraser's name for those listening. When we come back to this awesome show, we're going to wrap it up with my 3 stars of the weekend. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
You need tickets to that next event? We've got them. That's right, tickets.12ozsports.com. Get you to any sporting event, concert, theater event that you can think of. And the promo code 12OZ or ROME get you an additional discount. Don't feed the massive ticket corporate machine. Go to tickets.12ozsports.com and enjoy the show. America, get back on track with Dust Pod's Performance Stabilizer. When applied to roadways, it kills dust and strengthens the integrity of the road. Easily applied by mixing with water, Dust Pods is the future in polymer stabilization. Call 1-833-DUST-PODS or visit dustpods.com today.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Daily Dive. Reminder, this show is presented by tickets.12onsports.com. That's tickets.numbers12ozsports.com. Get your NLL tickets for less by going to that website. And a reminder, you won't regret seeing things live, knowing you got your tickets for a great price. Tickets.12onsports.com. Alrighty, it's now time to get to our 3 stars of the weekend. First one, Dane Doby. His second nomination this year on the show. 6 goals, 4 assists, 3 loose balls. And the Roughnecks beat the Dogs 21-8. That was where that game was from. The second game in Calgary this weekend. Second star goes to Jeff Teets, who in a 18-9 blowout in Albany had 6 goals, 3 assists, and 6 loose balls. That was the best picture I could find of him from that game. And unfortunately, he's facing the other direction of the show. And finally, our first star of the weekend is another multi-time winner this year, Wesley Berg, who had 5 goals, 1 assist, 7 loose balls, and for the second weekend in a row, had a game-winning goal. This time it's in overtime in Banditland to give the Bandits their first loss since March of 2024. Impressive job by Wesley Berg in back-to-back clutch weeks. So shout out to him. I want to also give just a small announcement here that I think our loyal viewers should be aware of, just because Reminder to follow us on social media, Daily Dive LAX, where you can find other great members of our team. But I wanted to make this announcement just because I thought it was, like I said, it was kind to our loyal viewers, and they need to know. Producer Joe, who has done great work for this brand, is no longer a part of the team. We, of course, wish him the best in his future endeavors, but he is no longer part of Daily Dive. Again, we thank you for all the great graphics you did for us, Joe, but that is just something I thought the viewers might be able to catch on to since last Wednesday or Thursday when we started this whole thing. You'll notice the graphics, etc., so I thought you guys might want to know that if you have been following along religiously to the show. So, reminder for those of you that tune into the show and comment, like Kai the goalie, who said, "Hey, what's up? Thank you for coming on for watching the show and commenting as always. Reminder, you are the bread, you are the butter, you are the go rush go." I don't even know if I did that right, but you get it. For all of the guests coming on the show, like John Fraser, like others to come this week, and those in the past, and Adam and Pat every Friday, thank you for coming on this show, sharing your audience with us, giving us validity and relevance. We want to say we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place on sports, for fresh fits and more. This has been Daily Dive. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Bye.
Thanks for watching Daily Dive. See you next time.